Chris Gethard Presents is a New York public access show that's completely revolutionary. It spits in the face of convention and openly embraces a new generation of comics. Oh, did I mention you can watch it right now on YouTube for free? Because you can.
Me to you. Spread word on this thing. We need more people watching this thing.
My great hope with this video essay is to convince you to eventually click away from this video essay, have you check out a few episodes, convert you as a lifelong fan, and eventually send you out to proselytize more potential converts. Sound too much like a cult for you? You'll warm up to it. These are the 3 reasons I'm obsessed with CGP.
So here's what I gotta say, baby. Come on, let's get religious together. You feel me?
Number 1. It's really funny. Now, this should be fairly obvious, since I mentioned a new generation of comics in the opener. But also, it's the main reason you should be watching. To quote the great Reggie Fils-Aimé,
"If it's not fun, why bother?"
Chris Gethard Presents is an exceptional variety show. I've never left an episode without a laugh, and I usually end up feeling better about our world's bleak existence by the end of the hour. The host and namesake of CGP, Chris Gethard, has assembled some of the best talent he can find to star in each episode. These are the realest of the real when it comes to New York's funny people. Underground for now, but absolutely hilarious. There's no doubt in my mind we'll be seeing names like Rachel Pegram, Robbie Hoffman, and Martin Urbano heading up the 2020s comedy scene. What makes people laugh is largely a subjective thing. I get that. Not everyone's gonna have my specific sense of humor, so usually when people ask for my comedy recommendations, I ask for other stuff they like. Are you a big fan of Rick and Morty? Try out Russian Doll. Sad that they canceled Modern Family? Single Parents is worth a watch. The thing is, I feel like I don't have to do that with Chris Gethard Presents. It's an incredibly diverse show that not only features people from all walks of life, but widely different artistic styles. Live, pre-recorded, stand-up, improv, sketch, slapstick, nothing is off the table. We even got a clown up in this.
Yeah! There it is! You got a party and you need to get it started! You buy a clown, he starts the party!
No matter what kind of comedy you're into, if you stick with CGP, there'll be something you laugh at. It just has this sort of structure that will dip into soap opera parody one episode and sit down for an earnest conversation about failure the next. Speaking of which... Number 2, it's structurally innovative. Chris Gethard Presents is a mostly episodic show, the same way The Twilight Zone was episodic. You remember how they had a different cast, a different story, but the same host each week? Good old Rod Serling with his suit and tie? That's basically what CGP does, but instead of telling suspense stories, the genre that ties everything together on this show is comedy. A different comedian each week, curated by our own intrepid host, gets an hour to do absolutely whatever they want, as long as it's funny. That's CGP. Some of the comics recur, allowing for a bit of serialized content, but as an audience member, it feels totally new each week. It's a fresh cast, every Wednesday, getting weird with it.
Hey, can I get a couple of fat Tonys while we set this up?
Anytime you need sound effects, I'm your guy.
The current trend in TV comedy is to lean heavily into serialization. Producers value narratives that will last multiple seasons, with familiar casts playing characters you can always come back to. Even established episodic shows like South Park have been experimenting with long-form storytelling. In a lot of ways, this was brought about by streaming, where content is designed to specifically promote uninterrupted watch time. Chances are, you'll just binge longer if every hour ends in a cliffhanger. The episodic nature of Chris Gethard Presents feels completely disruptive as a result. The charm comes from your own sense of discovery, rather than a will they won't they romance. Just like going out to a show in real life, the viewer has no idea what they're getting into until everything starts. You're encouraged to be adventurous as an audience member, Gethard promising you that even if you're not gangbusters for the show this go-around, watch what we have coming up next Wednesday, because next Wednesday is a whole new animal.
Listen, traditional television loves a good formula. They want you to find a formula that works, and they want you to do it again and again. And I get it, and it leads often to very successful stuff, sometimes to good stuff, but I don't know if it leads to interesting stuff. That's why I'm so excited about tonight's show. Christy Ciello's back. She put on a standout episode many weeks ago. It's called Coochie Creek, and now she's throwing it out. Because that's what we can do around here. We don't have to follow formulas. We can say, I did that already. Let me try something else. Let me take some stabs in the dark. Let me follow my instincts, which I think is the most important thing you can do as an artist.
Personally, I find that super exciting. There's nothing wrong with a bit of familiarity. The serialized revolution has been absolutely amazing to watch, and I would never give up stuff like The Good Place, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Schitt's Creek, all that jazz. Fantastic. I'm so glad we have it. But it's important to note that there are some things serialization can't provide. You're limited to a very specific set of narrative rules, and new viewers can't jump in at any moment. CGP values variety, curiosity, surprise, and it has a structure to reflect that. It's the kind of show that gives both artists and viewers the opportunity to experiment with new ideas, and for that reason alone, you should be watching it. Number 3. It's uniquely personable. Chris Gethard Presents provides comedians a platform to express their specific point of view, their personality, be that something incredibly vulnerable and inspired by experience, or out-of-the-box kooky. You get a sense of who the comics on CGP are, and I love that. It's a style that's usually reserved for here on YouTube, or in a black box theater somewhere, not hour-long television. I mean, for the sake of argument, let's just compare it to something like SNL, where the audience gets a much more direct sense of the writers and actors than your typical TV show. On SNL, you gotta have topical humor, 4 skits, and a band every week for 30 years. Also, kinda helps if you do impressions. The people behind SNL have a very specific vision of what they want it to be. They have guidelines in place, so they get exactly the kind of stuff they want out of it every single week. And although those guidelines still produce gold, it's not personality-driven gold. It's not the comedian's show. They're just on it, or writing for it. The stuff on CGP is from the comedians. Rather than try and get the comics to fit into some sort of framework, Gethard has encouraged people to go all in on their own brand of humor. No restrictions, no filters, no nothing. Where a more traditional TV show develops solid actors or writers, CGP develops full-on showrunners without any studio notes. So as a result, we get crazy stuff, like a Mr. Rogers' Larry Sanders Show hybrid that focuses on life in the American foster care system, like a fake late-night program hosted by a man in a rooster costume that slowly turns into a riff on Tennessee Williams, like a paranormal erotic book club, or a tribute to the history of public access, or a Halloween-themed Soul Train homage. There's a freedom to the stuff that comes out of Chris Gethard Presents that allows the artists involved to shine as brightly as they possibly can, and that makes me abundantly happy. Chris Gethard Presents is not only exceptional in all the typical ways great TV comedy is supposed to be, it's exceptional in ways I've only seen CGP be exceptional. It challenges our current entertainment landscape and is really special to me. I look forward to the show every week, and it needs more viewers, so if you found this convincing, please click the playlist link in the top right corner. As always, thanks for checking out my channel, but before we go, I'll reiterate one last time, click that link in the top right.
I'm tired of sitting around the house. I'm tired of sitting around the house. It makes me wanna lose my mind. And everybody wants to waste my time.
That one was ultimately unsuccessful, but if you don't take the swing, then you're not in a baseball game, is how the saying goes.
I feel, yes, absolutely.